Welcome to the user setup video. In this video we're going to cover how to set up a new user in FTQ360 as well as setting user permissions, assigning projects, and checklists. Let's get started. Go to Setup, Administration, User Setup Process. This page will show you your current list of users. To add a new user, click the blue Add button to add a new line item. I'm going to set up Sam Smith as a new user, and I'm going to start by typing Sam in the first name field, then Smith in the last name field. Next, I'll set up a username. We recommend using an email address for the username since it's unique and will be easy for the user to remember. Next, create a temporary password. Any temporary password will work. The user will be prompted to change their password once you send them a login invite. Type the email address into the email field. Affiliation is the company the user works for. This may be your company if the new user is an employee or representative, or a responsible party if you're setting up a trade or subcontractor. Select the inspector type from the drop-down menu. Inspector General is a good default for any user who will be performing inspections. However, there are other job titles available as well. Next is the restricted column. If you're setting up a subcontractor who will only be responding to open issues or assigned deficiencies, then check the box in this column to make the new user a restricted user. The active box will be checked by default, but if you want to make this user inactive for some reason, uncheck the box in this column. Finally, press the Save button to save your new user. Now you're ready to send the user a login invitation. Select the new user, then click the Send Invitation button. The new user will receive an email inviting him to log in to FTQ360 and prompting him to change his password. Now let's set up the permissions for our new user. The permissions are the settings that control what the user can and cannot access. Click Permissions from the process menu. This will open the permissions setup page. All of your users are listed on this screen. I'm going to find my new user, Sam Smith, to set his permissions. Notice that in the inspection section, View, Edit, and Create are all automatically selected. Sam Smith is going to be conducting inspections, so I'm going to keep all three boxes checked. However, if your new user will only view inspections but not conduct them, such as a manager or a company executive role, you'll want to View Checked and Edit and Create unchecked. If your new user will only be responding to issues or editing inspections that have already been started but not creating them, such as a responsible party or a subcontractor or a trade, you'll want to check View and Edit but uncheck Create. Then, of course, if the user will be creating and editing inspections, you'll want all three boxes checked. Now let's look at the other available settings. Plan Mode Required locks the user into using the ITP setup for a project. If you aren't using plans or ITPs, then you can ignore this option and just leave the box unchecked. The restricted box restricts the user to viewing inspections related to the affiliation only, such as responsible party, trade, or subcontractor. Remember, you selected the affiliation on the previous screen. This restricted option is usually used along with setting the user to view and edit only, so that they are restricted to responding to assigned deficiencies only. Self-inspect only restricts the user to conducting self-inspections only, such as a subcontractor inspecting his work when completed. In this case, you would set the permissions to View, Edit, and Self-Inspect only and uncheck Create. Run Reports gives the user access to the Reports menu. This allows them to run data, performance, and trend reports, run data queries, and create favorite reports. If this box is unchecked, the user won't even see the Reports option on their menu. Setup Data gives the user access to the Setup menu. This allows the user to access checklist form setup, project setup process, and responsible party setup process, and they can add and edit checklist projects and responsible parties. If this box is unchecked, the user won't even see setup in their menu. Data in and out gives the user the ability to import data into FTQ360. Data overwrite and delete gives the user the ability to delete inspections and change inspection dates. User management gives the user access to these user setup screens so he can add new users and edit user permissions. Account management gives the user access to your FTQ360 account settings, ranging from setting homepage landing screens, updating subscription levels, and viewing payment history. When done, click the Save button at the bottom of the screen to save your settings. Now let's review setting up checklist and project access for the user. Click Checklist from the Process menu to open the checklist screen. This page lists all of the available checklists. Check the box for the checklist if the user should have access to that checklist, and uncheck the box if he shouldn't. The Select All button will allow you to select or deselect all checklists. When finished, click the Save button at the bottom of the screen. Now, let's review Project Access. The Project Access screen will give you a list of all your projects, and you can assign the project level permissions to your user. My new user, Sam Smith, works in Ancient Oaks Preserve and Ashley Acre Estates, so I'm going to check that he can view, edit, and create inspections for those two projects and uncheck the others. Now, if your new user needs to view inspections in a project but not edit, respond, or create them, you'll click View and uncheck Edit and Create. If your user will be responding to open issues and assigned deficiencies only, such as a responsible party or a subcontractor, you'll click View and Edit and uncheck Create. Of course, if your user will be creating inspections in a project, you'll want to check View, Edit, and Create. Notice the little black caret to the left of the project name. If the project has phases, click the caret to view those phases. You can now make the View, Edit, and Create permission settings phase specific. This is especially helpful if your new user is a subcontractor sharing work with another subcontractor in a project. For example, if a project uses two different framing contractors, you can assign the framer specific lots and unassign others. Once your settings are made, click the Save button at the bottom of the screen.